Namo Narayana, Jai Swami Narayan, Namaste, welcome back. Today we're reading the Hamsa Upanishad. I'm just going to dive right in here with Gautama addressing Sanat Kumara, asking, O Lord, thou art the knower of all dharmas, and are well versed in all shastras. Please tell me the means by which I may obtain a knowledge of Brahma Vidya. Sanat Kumara replied, Hear, O Gautama, that tattva as expounded by Parvati after inquiring into all dharmas and ascertaining Shiva's opinion. This treatise on the nature of Hamsa, which gives the fruit of bliss and salvation, and which is like a treasure to the yogin, is a very mystic science and should not be revealed to the public. Now we shall explain the true nature of Hamsa and Paramahamsa for the benefit of a brahmacharin, who has his desires under control, is devoted to his guru, and always contemplates Hamsa and realizes thus. Hamsa is permeating all bodies like a fire in all kinds of wood, or oil in all kinds of gingerly seeds. Having known this, one does not meet with death. Having contracted the anus with heels pressed against it, having raised the breath from the chakra, having made the circuit thrice around the Svadhisthana, having gone to Maniparaka, having crossed the Anatta, having controlled prana in Visuddhi, and having reached Ajna, one contemplates in the head, and having meditated there always, I am of the three mantras, cognizes his self and becomes formless. The penis has two sides, left and right from head to foot. This is that Parahamsa, the supreme Hamsa or the higher self, having the resplendence of the crores of suns, and by whom all this world is pervaded. If this Hamsa, which has Buddhi as a vehicle, has eightfold vritti, when it is in the eastern petal, there is an inclination in a person for virtuous actions. When in the southeastern petal, there arises sleep and laziness. In the southern, there is the inclination to cruelty. In the southwestern, there is the inclination to sins. In the western, there is the inclination to sensual sport. In the northwestern, there arise the desire of walking and others. In the northern, there arises the desire of lust. In the northeastern, there arises the desire of amassing money. In the middle, or in the interspaces between the petals, there is the indifference to material pleasures. In the filament of the lotus, there arises the waking state. In the pericarp, there arises the dreaming state. In the seed, there arises the dreamless sleeping state. When leaving the lotus, there is the fourth state. When Hamsa is absorbed in the spiritual sound, nada, the state beyond the fourth is reached. Nada, that being the end of sound and beyond speech and mind, is like a pure crystal extending from Adara to Brahmarandra. It is that which is spoken of as Brahma and Paramatman. Here is the performance of the Ajapa Gayatri. Now Hamsa is the Rishi, the meter is Avyakta Gayatri. Paramahamsa is the presiding deity. Ham is the Bija, Sa is the Sakti. Soham is the Kalika. Soham is the wedge. Thus there are 6. There are 21,600 Hamsas, or breaths, in a day and night. Salutation to Surya, Soma, Niranjana, and Nirabhasa. Thus a japa mantra. May the bodiless and subtle one guide and illuminate my understanding. Vashat to Agni Soma. Then Anganyasas and Karanyasas occur in the heart and other seats of the body. Having done so, one should contemplate upon Hamsa as the Atman in the heart. Agni and Soma are in its left and right sides. Omkara is its head. Ukara and Bindu are the 3 eyes and face respectively. Rudra and Rudini, Rudra's wife, are the feet Kantata, or the realization of the oneness of Jivatman or Hamsa, are the feet Kantata, which are done in two ways of Samprajnata and Asamprajnata. After that, Unmani is the end of the Ajapa mantra. Having thus reflected upon manas by means of this Hamsa, one hears nada after the uttering of this mantra a crore of times. It is then heard of 10 kinds. The first is like chini, or the sound of that word. The second is chini chini. The third is the sound of a bell. The fourth is that of a conch. The fifth is that of a lute. The sixth is that of cymbals. The seventh is that of a flute. The eighth is that of a drum. The ninth is that of a double drum, a mridanga. And the 10th is that of thunder in the clouds. He may experience the 10th without the first 9 sounds through the initiation of a guru. In the first stage, his body becomes chini chini. In the second, there is the breaking in the body. In the third, there is the piercing. In the fourth, the head shakes. In the fifth, the palate produces saliva. In the sixth, nectar is attained. In the seventh, the knowledge of the hidden things of this world arises. In the eighth, Paravak is heard. In the ninth, the body becomes invisible, and the pure divine eye is developed. And then in the 10th, he attains Parabrahman in the presence of or with Atman, which is Brahman. After that, when manas are destroyed, when the source of Sankalpa and Vikalpa disappears owing to the destruction of these two, and when the virtues and sins are burnt away, then he shines as Sadashiva, of the nature of Shakti, pervading everywhere, being effulgence in its very essence, the immaculate, the eternal, the stainless, and the most quiescent Om. Thus ends the Hamsa Upanishad. The ending was very cool of the 10 sounds, though my thought, of course, was, if this was written today, would one of them be, and the 6th is the sound of the guitar, and the 7th is the sound of the organ, or the 7th is the sound of the B3 organ, like the Doors. Seriously, though, this is a translation that is a little confusing, and I wish they had done something, which I think should be done more often, leave in some of the Sanskrit. At one point, it's talking about this mantra, but we don't have it here. We just have the dissection of it and sort of a rough translation of it, like, may the bodiless and subtle one guide and illuminate my understanding, Vashatu Agni Soma. It is tough because that's not the mantra. That is not what we're asked to intone. We are asked to intone something like Om Lakshmi, Bhava Lakshmi, etc., etc. So to not have the Sanskrit here, I think, makes this a more complicated Upanishad than it would need to be. I think at this point, reading this, most of us kind of have some semblance of Sanskrit and English and translations, and give us the English for what we need, and then give us the Sanskrit for that mantra. Also, so we can use the mantra. I can't walk away using the mantra here without trying to tweak it and do whatever, and it's a little disappointing. It's a translation issue. They were trying to clear up stuff and make it clear, but sometimes making it too clear makes it too complicated, and now we've lost the mantra. We don't have this mantra. What's it called? The Ajapa mantra. I don't have it in my translation, so I can't really use it. Because Sanskrit is special. It's not like English. It's not like any other language out there, Hindi or Arabic or Icelandic. Sanskrit is a special language from the dawn of time, from before time, from the gods themselves. And it is a language imbued with power. English doesn't have that power. Hebrew doesn't even have that power, even though I've heard people say that's like the language of the gods. If I speak Hebrew, it doesn't make things happen. Sanskrit is special. So, oh well. Such is life. It's not the first time I think I've had a problem with a translation with an Upanishad. And as I said before, we could use some new translations. Maybe that's you, to work on them. It would be a project much honored, I believe, by many of us. And with that, I'll just say thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me We are on right now, this was Upanishad number 48. So if you have been watching stuff since I first started reading the Upanishads on my channel, which was a while ago, I know, we are not quite, just shy of halfway through the 108 canonical Upanishads. I mentioned that it is canonical. I did find a list online giving all 220 Upanishads, officially recognized Upanishads, 220 of them. But the list demonstrated that a lot of them are just sort of piecemeal versions of other ones, taking a piece of this and a piece of that, so they weren't original, and some are modern, or their age of composition is questionable. They were not written when most of them were written, and in that case, do we include an Upanishad written in the last century as a legitimate Upanishad? No, we don't. We include the 108, and we don't throw things into it. So I won't be reading the 220. And there's enough in these 108 to last you a lifetime if you wish to dive into them further. Don't even worry about the rest. But I did find them, and I found them on a website that linked to them, but it was all in Sanskrit. Everything was in Sanskrit, so I don't have the link now, but out there is a place where someone has listed all of them and given you all of them if you can read Sanskrit. And I wasn't about to translate other Upanishads for this channel. It's hard enough dealing with the translations of the ones I've got. Anyways, there's my little rant. Thank you for watching. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Swaminarayan.